G'day everyone and welcome to episode number 8 of the AskTomTech show. And today we're going to talk a lot more about Office 365, but more importantly some of the features and functions that come with Office 365, not just the email. So what we want to go through today is, Office 365, and most of you are probably familiar with the fact that it's an email platform, and that's where a lot of people sort of tend to stop. They'll get their email on there, it's now synced up to their Outlook and their iPhone, and they can access it via the web, and that's all pretty cool, but the true value in Office 365 is all the other features and functions, some of which you may or may not know about, some of which you're just not using because you don't understand them. But that's okay, because it is a monstrous sort of product and there's a lot of things happening in there, and there's a lot of things that are changing all the time. So today I thought I'd touch on some of the other areas to start looking at. So and while we're doing that, I'll run through some demos and we'll have a quick look at how we're specifically doing things here at WinTech with the team. Having a team that's quite mobile, it's really important that we are communicating well, and we've started to adopt some of the new tools and features in Office to really, test them out, see how they can work, but starting to make some real difference for us. So the first thing you'll have, obviously you're using Outlook, you'll have Word and Excel. You'll notice on your machine you most likely have a product called Skype for Business. Now this is all about instant messaging, presence, so is someone there or are they away? And also it's got really good desktop video conferencing functionality. So what that is all about being able to talk to people remotely, video, face-to-face meetings, share content on your desktop, all those sorts of things. So what we've got is, I'll bring it up here and we'll have a quick look. So you'll have Skype for Business. Now with your Business Premium and your E3 licensing, and those ones, just check with us if you need to know, but you'll have included in that Skype for Business. Now if you have a look on your machine, you'll notice a little app with the little Skype. Now it's important to note that Skype for Business is different to your normal Skype, or the Skype that you have been previously familiar with. The one we're talking about today is specifically the Skype for Business. Now you'll see that it's really just a directory of all the people in your team. You can structure this in any way you like. You can have outside contacts. We've got partner contacts. We've got client contacts who are also on Skype for Business. And then our team internally who are on Skype for Business. Now I can see where they are if they're away. They can set stings there. We can see Justin sitting in the dungeon. It's always great. But we can bring up and we can have conversations with them. So, hey, Justin, are you there? And that'll send, and that'll pop up on his machine to say, hey, I'm here. Can I ask you a question? So we can just minimize that out of the way. We can also, it integrates with your calendars, so we can actually see, well, I don't have any meetings today, but you could see up and it'll bring in any of the calendar information that you have in Outlook, so you can see what's going on. So between different applications, you can see what you're doing each day. We can run video conferencing, and that's just by, look, there he is. We can drop up a video conference. We can do a voice conference over the IP network, and we can also share our desktops or an application or a PowerPoint file, anything like that. So we can actually real-time collaborate on what's going on. So just shut that down there. But with Skype for Business, we can also, there's opportunity there to extend that to make it your actual phone system. So we are actually starting to roll that out ourselves, where we've got external numbers assigned to our Skype packages. We've got inbound IVR and call functionality happening, and those sorts of things there. We can see what's going on and if anyone's on a call. I'm going to put myself to Do Not Disturb so no one comes in. So that's a really quick overview of Skype for Business. Now, instant messaging, chat, share files, video, share your desktop, and away you go. So we use that internally all the time. It allows us to see when our team are out on the site. They can quickly shoot a message through, hey, what do I do here? Or hey, this is happening. How can we sort that? Or pick up some lunch on the way home, whatever it is. So you've got all that sort of feature there. You're not paying any extra for it. Open it up and away you go. So the next tool I want to talk about, which I think is really underrated sort of tool in the Office 365 suite, and that's Microsoft OneNote. So I'm going to bring up OneNote on here. So OneNote is essentially a note-taking tool. Consider it as a replacement for your physical books. So I've got a number of books that I run here. Some of these are my own personal ones and some are shared with the team. And what they essentially allow us to do is dump anything that we're doing out of our head. So I'm in a meeting, I might be using it for meetings, typing up notes as I go or after the fact. I can take photos and embed those photos in here. More so, I had that up just before. You can actually, depending on the type of computer you've got, on the Surface tablet here, we've got a pen function. I can actually write. You can't read my writing, but I know what it means. So I can actually write into the OneNote directly. I can then select that data and I can do whatever I need to do with it. I can tag it. It just becomes a part of, so that's now tagged as an idea. Those sorts of things. So it allows you to do that. It's a note-taking function, do everything. But more so, what it allows you to do then is start sharing that with your team. So we run it internally for things like handing over between our shifts. So as the boys and the team are working throughout the day and through the night, there'll be tasks and actions that need to be done outside of hours, or they need to be followed up by our day team or scheduled for the weekend. The way that we found really simple was to start using OneNote to capture all that information during the day. We just record the job number that we're working on, and it's a job for the handover. So what it means is that we're not creating systems and workflows outside of anything. We've got a very easy place that everyone can see what's going on, of what's being handed over, and then that simply just goes across, and the team at night then action what needs to be actioned. They update our help desk system and everything there, but all that detail is just easily and accessible here. The great thing about OneNote is that using it with your OneDrive or your SharePoint, you can then sync that up to your other devices as well. So on my iPhone, for example, I've got OneNote, and it's the same OneNote that's on my Surface, so I can be out and about and have an idea or be thinking about something, write some notes, take a photo, attach it, all those sorts of things. So the OneNote tool, I think, a lot of people don't use it, they don't know what it's there, they don't know how to use it for, and it can be a little bit daunting to get into it, but I think there's a lot of value there. The beauty of it is that everything you type, everything that you write in there becomes searchable. So we can see it's searchable across not only my notebooks, but any other notebooks that I've got open. So anything else that the team might be working on. And we can see what's going on. So we can see everything that's happening, different bits and pieces within that. So that's OneNote. And I think that's a really cool little tool that a lot of people can get a lot more value out of. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a pretty new sort of tool that Microsoft have released, and it's called Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is an extension of a number of the tools that already exist in the Office 365 suite, and it's about bringing a central point for people to collaborate and communicate on. One of the biggest challenges with any team size, 10, 15, 100 people, is how they're communicating and where that data ends up being saved. So a lot of it can end up in email and people's individual mailboxes. So there'll be distribution lists, there'll be emails flying around. Some people might miss it, some aren't relevant, but they might need to find the information later. So it can become really quite challenging to track that and manage that within email. You then add to that those using the Skype for Business. You've then got instant messaging happening, so chats about, well, it might be questions about a client activity or a proposal that's being worked on. But that information doesn't get saved anywhere. It's not stored. It's just it's a chat message that happens and disappears for no one else to know. So what Microsoft have put together is essentially a chat room, for lack of a better word, but it does a hell of a lot more than that. What Microsoft Teams allows us to do is create, as it says, create a team. So if you have a look at my screen here, we currently have just set up a service team for our team internally. I've got my own action plan team, so that's me and my VA, who helps me manage what I'm doing day to day and all the tasks and everything we're working on. And it becomes a central point for everyone to start posting questions, posting information. So those things that used to fly around an email and just end up nowhere, they're now in Teams. So we create what's known as channels for our different functions. So we've got a general channel, which is an internal chit-chat style channel of things that are going on, what's happening out there, notifications about clients, what's happening, different tips and things like that. We've got a specific channel for clients. So this is stuff that's happening specifically for clients that isn't necessarily a job yet, or it's information that the team are looking for from others. It might be a question that they've got around a ticket that they're working on. We've got a team for our NOC team, so that's our operations team who are doing all the monitoring and management, can see what's going on. And then our projects as well, we've got a project group happening where we can sort of track notes about different projects that are happening, statuses, everything like that. Now, the thing with Teams is, it might look like a forum and a chat sort of message, but the things with Teams is it starts linking all the other components of Office 365 together. So we have a vault essentially for this channel where we can start saving files. So what this means is if someone opens up a conversation and says, hey, I'm working on this proposal, I'd really love some input, and they attach the file to it, it attaches it to SharePoint in the background. Now what that means is we can start now leveraging all the components of SharePoint, and that file will become visible and accessible to anyone in that group, meaning people can collaborate on that file real time. So they can be entering, they can be updating, people can see what's going on. We're no longer sending around a version of an email, a version of a file attached to an email that someone's got to save and edit and resend and back and track, all sorts of challenges. You end up with which version is the latest version. We can do it very, very quickly and easily in Teams, leveraging SharePoint. At a bigger level, you would start to use more of the SharePoint features, but for operating within what you're doing, you can save it in Teams. We can then add a OneNote function to that as well. So we can add a OneNote. We can also add other components. This is Microsoft Planner, which I'll talk about soon as well. And we can just add tasks. So this is now a task list within our team, so we can see it's all in the one spot. People can start allocating, notices come out and they get through. So as you can see, there's a lot that can be done with it. We're pretty fresh with it, but it's proving very, very valuable for what we're doing internally. And as you start to use it more and more, you come up with more features. And that's sort of the beauty of Office 365, in that it's got so much going on. And we're barely even touching the surface in today's sort of chat, but I really just wanted to give you a look at some of these tools that are available that are sitting there ready for you to start using. So the last one that I want to talk about is, we briefly looked at it within the Teams there, is the Microsoft Planner. So again, this is something we've started working on internally, and Planner is similar to, if you're familiar with other tools like Trello or Asana, Basecamp, those sort of things. So it's a very light, let's call it task management or even a project sort of tracking tool. And essentially, again, it's a web page and a site that your team can go to create groups of what's happening. So we use it to track what's just as an active task list of everything that we're sort of doing internally. What are the active client projects that are happening that we just need to be aware of and what's visible, any active issues that we're managing, internal projects, internal documentation that we're working on, WinTech documentation, new services. So you can see we're doing quite a lot, and this is a way for us to start capturing all that information again, sharing it with the team. It becomes a point where we can assign tasks, we can schedule dates, we can add notes, we can attach files where it's then leveraging SharePoint again in the background, and generally start to collaborate again more effectively around what we're doing. Now, any of these tools can be used in isolation. So you can use Planner by itself. You don't have to use Teams. You can use Teams with the Planner plugged in, and you don't necessarily have to use Planner. So there's lots of different variations of the way you can use it. We've sort of started evolving the way we're doing it. Planner came out before Teams, so we were using Planner quite heavily. And then Teams came out, and it had the add-on function where we could start to have visibility to our planners within the same team. So we're starting to look at that and how that really works. But Planner is a really simple way to track your tasks or what's going on. You can create a new group, or they call it bucket, new group of tasks, and simply start adding new task. It's going to be due next week, and I'm going to be looking after this myself. So we've now added that. We can add multiple people to that task, and done. Add task. So there we go. We're now in that task. We can flag it if we need to, set some labels, progress statuses. This one's in progress. Add a little checklist items. Check off as you're going, type comments, which then become date stamps. So we've got a history of what's going on, attach a link, attach a file. So that's where Planner sort of sits. Now, again, free, part of your Microsoft Office suite. So anyone on a business suite or an enterprise, you will have access to Planner. It's there. You can see all these sort of tools in your Office 365 from your web page. From your Office 365 application list. So you can see here there's piles of stuff in there, all online, all available and all accessible. So look, I know we've covered quite a bit and it's probably been a little bit all over the place, but I was really keen just to get out there and start showing people what is available within the suite and what you're already paying for and what's there. And I think that's a big key driver, particularly with Office 365, and where we see one of the really big benefits and one of the big values for our clients is around the number of tools that are being introduced and just made available as part of your suite. There's a whole lot more in there, and I could spend days going through it, but I really just wanted to give you a quick insight and a view of some of the key tools that we're using, how we're using them in the business, which might give you some ideas about how you can use it in your business, whether you're running projects, building jobs or surveying jobs or whatever it is that you're doing. There is most likely a way that you can leverage some existing components within Office 365 to make those processes run a bit better. For very little investment at all, other than some time to maybe set it up and test how you want to run it. In saying that, you always have the ability to leverage the big dog of the suite being SharePoint and running that as very detailed workflow, customized and those type of things. All these apps plug into SharePoint, so they're all there built on SharePoint as a foundation. So starting this now and playing with it doesn't stop you from doing anything in the future, or even if you want to dive straight into looking at SharePoint and how that works, it doesn't stop you using these components and tying it all together. So look, I hope that sort of gave you an insight and gave you sort of a starting point of some of the things you can look at. What I will do is I'm going to look at creating some more content around the individual systems that we've discussed today and even some of the others. So look, if you've got something specific that you'd like to know more about, one of the tools that I've talked about today, or something that you may have seen in your Office 365 suite that you want to have a chat about, look, hit me up on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever it is that you hang out on. Send me an email, whatever. That's cool, because I'd love to be able to show you some more and help you out. And I'm sure that if you've got a question, someone else will have a question, so I'll whack it together in a video or a bit of a screen share presentation, and we'll go from there. But fantastic. I hope you've got something out of it today, and yeah, be good.